Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to our first meeting of 2024, meeting 115 of the New York State Canal Recreationway Commission. I'm Brian Stratton, the acting chair, and this is a virtual hybrid meeting only today. Good planning as we've got some snow here in Albany, but good to not have to plan travel, particularly on a Monday. But we appreciate everyone joining us. I will apologize in advance that I am unscripted today. But I've been doing this for such a long time, I should probably know my way around blindfolded. So we are going to dispense with introductions formally, and I'll just notate that we have at least four members of the CRC with us, and that would be Commissioner Steve Iacchetta, Commissioner Ken DeRoller, Commissioner Natalie Stetson, and Commissioner Fra Petorte. Welcome, commissioners. Am I missing any commissioner that I have not shouted out formally? With us from our agencies, Ross Levi, the executive director and president of the New York State Division of Tourism. Welcome, Ross. Laura DeBetta from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. I'm scanning with us from our Board of Trustees. As always, we are very pleased to have B. Gonzalez Wave trustees, so we can all see you. Thank you very much from the magic of her iPhone. We have some other members outside of the organization, and we have from our planning agencies, Mark Castiglione from the Capital Region RPC, Richard from the Finger Lakes RPC, and we have some staff members with us. It probably would have been easier to have everybody say hello because I've got to scan all over the place. Jesse Scott, Rebecca Hughes, Jackie Schillinger, Shane Mahar, Angelin Chandler, and Joelle Murney Karsten are there. Thank you. So let's get going. And we don't have any land items today, so it's going to be a relatively easy meeting as far as legislative action is concerned. But we do have a lot of information to convey because the start of 2024 is a very exciting time for us. Now we have a lot of good news to share. So we will call the meeting to order. Everyone should have, and I do see Doug Cole with us, Commissioner Doug Cole, who is coming in under Rebecca's link. So thank you, Doug, for being with us also. We have 5 commissioners on board now. Everyone should have received the minutes. And if I can have a motion to accept, we will move into discussion of the minutes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes? You can audibly move, please. That is moved by Commissioner Petorte and seconded by Commissioner Stetson. Any questions, comments, or modifications proposed to the minutes from our last meeting, meeting 114, which I believe was in Syracuse? Any amendments, any comments? Seeing none, we will move the minutes as proposed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Seeing that the ayes have it, the minutes are approved. We will move in and look at our agenda for today. I'm getting some repeat. Okay, that's better. We're going to get an overview of our CRC 2050 plan refresh. We'll talk about the complete solar eclipse, which is coming to New York State in April, Western New York State. We will get an operations update. I will provide you with an update on the governor's proposed bicentennial commission. Very exciting. We are relaunching our bicentennial forum series this year, and our first event is planned for April. Angela is going to go over that. We'll have other business. We'll have a public comment. Rebecca is going to give some good information, although it's not here on the screen. She's going to give us some good information about the governor's capital plan. and then we'll talk about our next meeting, and then we will adjourn. So let's go in immediately then. I don't know if Cal is on yet, Rebecca, but Justine is.
Yep, Cal, so just a note, I sent Commissioners Bernard and Wyzakowski my links, so they might be in the process of joining. Each of them was on via the webinar link. And for Doug, you're in as Rebecca Hughes. You can, if you want to change your name, you can use the ... to rename yourself as a participant. You'll see several coming in with my unique link, so those will default to my username.
Cal says she's on. Do we see her?
Cal, do you want to go ahead and just test and unmute and see if you're able to participate as a panelist? She might still be on using the webinar link. Cal, if you've not seen it yet, I forwarded my link as a panelist.
No button for voice, she says. No button for voice. Why don't you send her your link, Rebecca? This is live television, folks. It's how it goes. Shall we start, or shall we wait for Cal to jump in? She says no button for camera either.
I'm going to give her some tech support. Is there a next item on the agenda, or maybe Justine, if we want to jump ahead to the eclipse, since you're providing that update? Sure. If you want to get started with that, and I'll help Cal get on for the 2050 plan.
Sure, and the slides should be immediately after the slides for this plan.
Go ahead, Justine.
So, as Brian mentioned, the 2024 total solar eclipse is coming. Next slide, please. In exactly 70 days, April 8th, 2024. It's really close now, and you've probably been seeing more and more about it in the press if you're not already planning events yourself. It touches a big range of canal land, especially in the western part of New York, and then up in the Adirondacks as well. And so we're really looking forward to supporting and being part of this really special event. Next slide. Here are just some facts. Canals will not be watered up or open on April 8th. We'll still be in our winter maintenance phase, doing all the important and hard work that we need. We need that whole winter to do in order to be open and ready for the summer season. That said, we know that people might want to be on the trails. People might want to gather in canal sites, and we want you to be safe. We want you to have a good time. But we also want to make sure that our construction sites where winter maintenance is happening are safe and secure, and also that people don't, while they're looking up at the sky, accidentally, fall into the canal. With that said, I know that communities are planning a lot of events that aren't on the canals. If you are planning something on canals, on our next slide, which we don't need to go to yet, we have some contact information. We would love to know what's going on, just so we can plan and also so we can support. If there's something we can do to help, we're happy to do that. Some general facts, if you haven't heard planning in your area or you would like to know more, expect traffic. That's the main thing that previous eclipse communities have experienced and that the whole state is planning for, is that there will be a lot more traffic in the Western region leading up to the event on that Monday. And then the minute it is over, everyone will try and get on the road and go home. So if you're planning something, maybe think about keeping people on site longer, provide food or entertainment, something to just sort of stretch it out and make the event more fun and also last a little longer. Personal safety. Don't look directly at the eclipse. Make sure you have eclipse glasses and make sure that they're legitimate and not just regular sunglasses or knockoffs. They should say that they comply with the standard, and there are places where you can get them through the state. We will be getting a bunch and might be distributing them if we're at an event or there's a public place where we can, but there are a lot of places, public places, visitor centers, and the Niagara power plant, they will be sharing them there. Community. It's once in a lifetime event, and also a lot of schools will be closed or have half days. And you might want to plan your day knowing that either if you have childcare or your employees do, keep that in mind. Have childcare needs that are unusual. Yes, State Parks is planning events. Canals is not planning any events ourselves, but we are partnering, NYPA and Canals are partnering with State Parks at Niagara. Rebecca, do you want to jump in? Oh, no, okay. And there will be other events across the state. I Love New York website has a great canal specific webpage. And if your community is having an event, you can send it to them to add it to their webpage as a landing place and distribution. I see a hand up. Go ahead, Ross. You need to, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Justine. I was going to mention, by all means, I encourage members to go to ilovenewyork.com/eclipse. There is a running calendar of events that is going on across New York State. And as Justine mentioned, if you can keep Canals apprised of any events that you are hosting or aware of, that is the channel by which your event gets added to our calendar. You know, I Love New York, along with the rest of the state, we are part of a statewide task force of which Canals is a part that's been meeting, I think, for a year regularly to get ready for this eclipse. And our message is we're trying to thread that needle between encouraging people to see and be a part of the eclipse, and yet do it in a safe and orderly manner. So it's a little bit of a tightrope to walk, and we appreciate all your help in letting people know what's going on.
Yeah, and we're happy to help in any way we can as we get closer and closer. Internally, Canals and NYPA are just doing a lot of planning to make sure all of our employees and staff are safe and able to also enjoy this really, for many people, once in a lifetime event. So fun facts, the last solar eclipse in New York was 99 years ago, and the next one won't be until 2045. The next total solar eclipses in New York will be, the one in 2045 is in the United States, but not in New York. The next total solar eclipse in New York will be in 2079, and then 2144 after that. And it is believed that the Haudenosaunee Confederacy may have been ratified during a total or near total eclipse based on stories from that time. Next slide. So if you're planning an event on a canal site, you need to be mindful that you need to go through our usual permitting process. That can take a little time, so make sure to reach out to us. I've put the permitting contact for the Western and Central region over under permits, Kevin and Danielle. And then if you have general questions that I can help send to the right person, send them to me. And Joelle and Nick are your regional community and government affairs liaisons. So they would also be great people to reach out to. Any questions about the eclipse and canals? No? Great. And I can see Cal on there.
I just wanted to ask, we showed a national map about the path of totality. Do we have New York State map? So workers are more familiar over which parts of the state are actually going to be in the path.
I didn't include that, but if you want to go back a couple of slides.
I can describe it. It actually enters New York and sort of the Chautauqua-Allegheny region, and then arcs over Niagara Falls. The path of totality continues through Rochester, Syracuse, into the Thousand Islands region, and then starts exiting the state through the Adirondacks, going through Lake Placid and Plattsburgh, and then off into Canada.
So Ross, is there a sweet spot? If you could be anywhere in Western New York, where would you want to be?
Anywhere in that path of totality is great, and part of it depends on where you can get a hotel room. If you're going overnight, part of it will be based on what your interests are. Do you want to be among a lot of people, or do you want to be in the middle of quote unquote nowhere? Anywhere within that path of totality is going to be the equally amazing experience. I do know there are events going on in Rochester, Niagara Falls, other parts of the state. So I encourage folks to go, like I said, to the I Love New York website and see the areas that make the most sense for you.
In terms of canal communities, Buffalo to about Syracuse is in the path of totality. Even in Albany, we will be in like 95% totality, but it's not the same. So
So we should also point out that if the weather is not cooperative on that day, if it's overcast, of course, that will diminish the impact. It'll still be dark, but you won't be seeing the
That's
sun
right.
move.
Correct. Yeah, you'll miss that dramatic ability to look at the sun if you have eclipse glasses, and see the actual disk moving. Excuse me, but the effect of day becoming night in the path of totality still remains the same. And so to hear, night birds and owls and things start, making calls and things in the middle of the day, it'll still be a very dramatic experience.
Yeah, and the full event is it's about an hour from start to finish, with I believe the actual totality happening around 3:10-ish in our area. So
And the actual full totality lasting a bit around 3 minutes or so. But yes, from the moon shadow or the moon starting to enter to exit is well over an hour. Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin.
Sure, it's been exciting to learn about and be a part of for the last year, just hearing other cities' planning and experiences and being aware of it.
And also neighboring states too. We get emails from Vermont. So we know what's going on there. And as you can see on the map, it goes up through New Hampshire and through Maine and then onto the provinces. So Justine, I see Cal Wysakowski is with us finally under the Rebecca Hughes moniker.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to point out that Paul Byer is also with us. Sorry, Paul, I didn't introduce you when we had our agency representatives, but thank you for being here. So
Hi.
Justine,
It's Michelle Venard. I'm under the Rebecca moniker as well.
you can never have enough in Rebecca's. She always does the work of many, many people. So
Okay.
is
Deal.
that okay too?
She
So you want to
contains
back up and do
multitudes.
your CRC 20,
Sure.
25th? Okay.
Cal, do you want to say a few words before I jump in?
Just a few words. We kicked off
I
with
said Cal, Paul, Cal.
Cal.
Did it
Okay.
again, Paul.
Sure. Sure.
Fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect, because I would like to report that I am out of the path of totality and in this meeting right now. It was a little scary. We have been on a 5-month journey so far to put together the 2050 CRC plan update, and things are going well. It was just 5 months ago in August, actually, July and August, when we started putting this together. We put together a team from CRC to represent CRC, and we have 2 project managers that are keeping us moving. That's Paul and Justine. And I'm going to turn it over to Justine in about 15 seconds. But I did want to let folks know that we have been meeting. We've met 2 or 3 times in a small group, and continue to move forward. You're going to meet folks from the agency that was selected in a competitive RFP proposal, and anxious for you to meet the team, the consulting team. And it's been great to work with the CRC folks as well as Paul and Justine. And Justine has a nice slide deck for us. So Justine, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Cal. So Paul and I are busy keeping this thing moving forward. Next slide. And I know we updated you in your last quarterly meeting just to say this was starting. And the updates are that we have contracted with a firm, Agency L&P Planning, and their team that they will introduce us to do this work. As Cal mentioned, it was a competitive bid, and they came in with a great proposal and just a great vision for what we could do over the next year. Our CRC team, the core advisory group, are Cal, Michelle, Steve, and Natalie Stetson. And we will be calling on the rest of the CRC as we move forward. So all of you are very important to the process as well. And our core 4 will be keeping us on target, and also a great conduit. If you want to communicate with someone to us, they would be great to go to. The Canals team, it's me and Paul, as I mentioned, from Reimagine the Canals, Rebecca Hughes, who you know very well. She contains multitudes, as we know. And Angela Chandler, the VP of Capital Planning for Reimagine the Canals. And as part of this process, we will be going deep with all of our subject matter experts on canals and our community liaisons who you know, to give us feedback, let us know what's working, what's not, and also to be getting information from our communities. The lead firm, as I mentioned, who are doing this work are Agency L&P. They're a landscape and planning firm. They are based in Boston, and they have a really strong team that they've put together with Fisher Partners, who are more local to our region of upstate New York. And with that, I would love to introduce our reps from Agency. I'm not sure if it's Rhiannon or Annie who will speak, but you guys go ahead and unmute yourselves and introduce the team to everyone. Next slide.
Thanks, Justine. Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Streetman. I am an urban planner and the project manager on the Agency Landscape and Planning team. I'm joined here today by Rhiannon Sinclair, who is a planning lead and principal at Agency and the lead principal on this project. You'll see we have other members of our team at Agency, including Kate and Bree and Jill, who will be strategically engaged throughout the process. And Agency itself is a mission-based landscape and planning firm. We work purposefully on public projects that exist at the intersection of people and place. So we're particularly really excited about this work and this opportunity to really focus on that intersection of people and place and the work in the canals that you all are doing. We're very excited to partner or to bring our national experience and portfolio to this work and to partner with Fisher Associates, as Justine mentioned, to provide that regional and grounded expertise, a more local expertise to this project. And then you'll see, since this is a vision plan, we've also assembled some luminaries, we're calling them, some light touch luminaries to guide key topics that are really relevant to the canal's future. And so we have David with conservation and resilience, Natula, who's going to help with digital communications and the web, and then Sherwood engineers working on hydrology and water. And so we've assembled this really great team of folks. We're really excited. You'll see more of them as the process moves forward, but really great to meet you all initially and looking forward to our work this year.
Thanks, Annie. Next slide. So I know this is very tiny on my screen and it might be on yours too, but this is what we're looking at over the next year. So as Annie mentioned, and I think we mentioned in our last meeting, the whole idea of this year work is to update the Canal Recreationway Commission's plan and give us a roadmap for the next 25 years of Canal. How are we going to be relevant in a future that maybe we can't even imagine for our children, for our grandchildren? And how are we going to keep canals functional, safe, and vibrant as economic development place, as a resilient resource in climate change? All of these things are things we'll be looking at. The first 30% of the year up until spring, there will be a lot of deep diving into resources we already have, things that we all know from various points of view, but we want the team to learn more about, and starting to reach out to our internal folks at Canals to do interviews and information gathering there. The team will also be creating an outreach plan that we're in process of making now, and that will start engaging people outside of the Canal Corporation, including meeting periodically with the CRC, and also calling on you to help us make sure we're reaching the right people. Another thing that we'll be looking at to create by the beginning, the beta website is exciting. That will be one of our important ways of reaching people, will be digitally through the website and through social media. And that will go public by the spring, when we're hoping to start kicking off public meetings and going out to canals to meet people where they are. So keep your eyes peeled. Things that we need to know from the CRC today and going forward are, what are the dates of your next meetings? Because we want to make sure that we're coordinating our work with you. And we are hoping that at least one of those next 2 quarterly meetings, we might tag on a visioning session or some kind of workshop around it so that we can get some really good feedback and information. Does anyone have questions at this point about the CRC plan refresh? Okay.
This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. And Paul and I had a subsequent conversation as well, and I'm glad Ross Levi is on this call. I think reaching out to this amorphous industry that, you know, I have most experience in, hospitality and travel and tourism, is very important. So I'm sure you're going to be reaching out to Ross for that. And there are so many other sources that we need to be sure that, you know, whether it's in person or the opportunity to reply online, that everybody from, you know, the canal operators and, you know, Tammy is a great, Captain Tammy is a great opportunity with the Tour Boats Association, which she chairs, as well as Canal New York. So let's just make sure we don't touch the surface, because there's such depth in the experience of the canal.
Thank you, Michelle. And to that end, if this is sparking thoughts for anyone in this group and you want to send us your ideas, please, please, please do, because you all know your communities better than we do, probably. Maybe not Rebecca and Brian, but but specifically and in the depth that Michelle is talking about, we really do need your help making sure that we go there.
And I just want to chime in, this is Cal, that there is a pretty extensive stakeholder engagement plan. And I appreciate the groups that are out there, and we will work very, very hard to include everyone. Task 2 and 3, there's external community engagement, internal community engagement. And I looked back in some of our notes, and we've talked about this and emphasized it for a long time. And so I'm confident that we will reach out to many of these groups, if not all of them, and probably ones that we haven't even imagined. I think that's important too.
Thanks, Cal. If anyone has further questions, raise them now or feel free to reach out to us. And this is just the very beginning. So I look forward to working with everyone over the next year. And I know Paul does too.
Yeah,
Paul,
me too.
anything you want to add, Paul?
No, we're at it pretty quickly. So we got a lot to do. Very positive with everybody we've talked to right now. But again, January's over, 11 months. So we'll be talking to a lot of folks, trying to gather as much information as we can, absorb it. This is a lot for agency to gobble up, but I think we'll get it out in a good way for a roadmap. So thank you, everybody in advance, because we're going to touch every soul here.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Justine, and thank you, Cal. Great presentations on CRC 2050 and the eclipse planning. We're going to move along right now. We'll recognize that Commissioner Michelle Bernard has also joined us, and I'm looking back through my Canal email and see there was a lot of chatter coming in about some folks that were not able to get on. Kim has not been with us today. We would have refreshed everyone to the proper email link, but I think everybody is here now. We're going to go into an update on our operations, planning and action during the winter season, which is always a very busy season. And with us is Ambrose Barbuto, the Director of Waterways Management. Director Ambrose, are you with us?
Yes, Director, I'm here. Good afternoon,
Very
everyone.
good. There's Ambrose. Take it away.
Okay, thanks. Before I get into the winter work, I guess I just wanted to, say that today we put out the notice to mariners about the upcoming season. We're set to open on May 17th. That's a Friday, so very, very excited about that. And soon to be more information about our hours and all that, but that'll be coming out in the next month or two. So next, Okay, so I thought I'd, to give a little update. We just compiled the numbers for 2023, and our DART rate this year was at 3.49, a little bit higher than last year, but last year was the lowest number we ever recorded. But as you can see, over the last 10 years, still very good. And the DART rate is basically a measurement of injuries that cause people to miss work. This year, what we're going to do is we're going to try to look at some other metrics, such as maybe a near miss incident or a total incident rate in a section or a region, because some sections are doing very good, but they may have one DART injury that brings their numbers way up. But other than that, they've been, almost injury free. So we're going to take a look at that this year and probably have some different numbers at the beginning of next year to report out. But overall safety is going very well. So next slide. So I just want to give an update on our winter projects. The main projects are our pump outs, and in the east, we're at Loch Champlain 8, E4 and E3 in Waterford, E10 and E17. Those are both continuations of projects we started last year. And right now, all these projects are going very well and are on schedule. In the west, we're at Loch 01 in Phoenix. That is going very well. Plan to be out there tomorrow to take a look. 28A and 28B in Lyons, and then 32 and 34, 35 are again continuations of projects that started last year and all going very well. I also wanted to mention a project that we started at the end of last year and are just kind of wrapping up right now, is a clean out of the upland disposal site in Syracuse. And that's the site we use when we dredge at the Syracuse Inner Harbor. We dredged there about 5 or 6 years ago, and knowing that it's going to be due again soon, we wanted to try to get ahead of that and clean that site out to make room for the new spoil material that will be coming eventually. So that went really well. We moved thousands of yards of material out of there, so now we have plenty of room. Next slide. So I do have some exciting updates to share. First, on the technical services side, we currently are undergoing a permit project on our Excella system. Right now, when our permittees have to pay their bill, it's all a basically snail mail operation. They get their bill, they mail everything in via the postal service. But we're making improvements to that system, so now people can actually pay those bills online. So I think that's going to be much more effective for just about everyone. So we're excited about that. That's probably going to come live sometime in April or May. So more to come on that. Also, we continue to work on our connectivity improvements in our sections and our regional offices. Many of those sites, such as our lock houses, had to get online via cellular service. Well, we've gone through and installed Wi-Fi there and at all our section main offices, and the improvements have been dramatic. Employees can get on their phones, do trainings, read emails, when they couldn't really do that all the time before. So that's just about finished up, and everyone's really glad we finally got there. And then the last one on the technical services is we released that NTM today with the old system, but we currently are working on a brand new system, much more efficient, much more easier to use. You should start seeing some information about that in, say, the next couple weeks to a month. Anyone who is currently enrolled will be able to obviously stay enrolled. You won't have to do much other than maybe make some updates to your profile. But we're going to be making a push so that people can sign up for that new program. There's some enhanced features, such as receiving updates via text instead of just email and other features. So look out for that. That'll be coming soon. Next slide. And then some really exciting updates here. So on our permanent staffing front, we just received approval to convert 35 seasonal positions to permanent canal worker positions. And again, really excited about that. The seasonal program is great, but unfortunately, you know, we bring these folks in, you know, they come different seasons and sometimes they leave because of the lack of permanent work. So the addition of 35 permanent positions is just huge. I mean, we can keep those folks all year round, train them, and have a much more robust staff. So really good there. Also, our training program has been making leaps and bounds. And with this approval for positions, we received approval to fill 2 permanent training coordinators positions. And that's going to help our folks immensely, because right now, trying to keep on top of all the work they're doing, but also on top of all the training we want to give our employees, these positions are going to help coordinate quite a bit of that. So that should be coming soon. And then seasonals and interns, we'll start a recruitment for our summer seasonals, which we typically look around 240, but we're going to probably be around 200 this year because of the addition of that permanent staff. So that will be starting soon. And also we've been growing our intern program, which has been great, because we bring some college folks in here. I mean, they get to see what the canal is all about, and they just fall in love with the place. So we're hoping that that's our, you know, our future full-time hires for engineers and other staff. So it's been really good, and we keep growing it every year. So looking forward to that. Also, title consolidation. I know I mentioned that in previous CRC meetings, but phase 1 and 2 are moving forward now. And actually these new titles that we're going to be hiring are going to be Canal Worker 1, which is the new title. So that's going to be great for us. And then we're going to, you know, kind of reassess after these first 2 phases, and then hopefully move on with phases 3 and 4 later this year and then next year. But pretty much has been very well received. Employees and management all seem to like the idea. So we'll work through the kinks and continue to move forward. The HELPS program, that's something that our HR folks are working on with the state. There's been an issue in the last couple of years, especially during COVID, of trying to keep the canals or the civil service exam list current and up to date. And it's really been a struggle to kind of try and hire people through that. So what the HELPS program is going to do, it's going to get rid of many of the lists that were typically used, and it'll afford us the opportunity to basically receive applications from qualified candidates and interview them. And if they're qualified and you like them, you can hire them without having to go through the whole list program that was currently in place. So we see that as a huge advantage. I think recruitment's going to be quite a bit easier. So that should be coming out in the next couple months. Looking forward to that. And then lastly, over the last year and a half, we've been working hard on a new CSEA contract, which is our largest union here at Canals. And we came to a tentative agreement early or late last year. The union voted on it and, you know, ratified it themselves. And this is going to be going to at the February 6th board meeting. So that's going to be some really good news for our membership as well. So that's my update. Any questions?
Questions for Ambrose?
Jump in and just say, Ambrose, I know how much work went behind this, and it's because the Canal's leadership team was oriented around its values, keeping our workforce safe, keeping the public safe, thinking about what makes Canals a really great place to work. This is just a huge amount of accomplishment in a single calendar year. So congratulations to you and the team. And we just appreciate your leadership, especially around, you know, this conversion of seasonal workers into permanent. I just think that is, you know, it's the start. 35 workers isn't, you know, a massive number, but it's a proof of concept. And, you know, it's going to enable us to recruit and retain in ways that, you know, that we really need right now. So thank you for your leadership. I think this is really excellent progress.
Oh, you're welcome, Rebecca. I mean, our employees are our greatest resource, so it's a pleasure.
Thank you, Ambrose. Also, great job. And as always, as we went over last time, we do have a number of pump outs scheduled ongoing right now. We're going to be We're going to be hosting tours of our pump outs. I think those either take place in February or in March when we get a little bit out of the brunt of the winter weather and have the opportunity to more comfortably or less freezingly get our guests into the pump outs. So I know Jackie and Shane are both on, as well as Rebecca. If there's any update that you want to share with our commissioners or agency representatives about upcoming pump out tours and how you can sign up for one, feel free to jump in now and give whatever information you would like to share.
Hey, Director, it's Shane. I would say we're working to identify dates with Ambrose and his team in operations for that late February, March timeframe. And as soon as we have those dates identified, we'll circle back to the CRC here and our other interested stakeholders. There's a pump out in your neighborhood, so we're hoping to get everybody out this winter like we have in the years past. So more to come.
Good.
And if you need safety shoes, but order them now. We're less strict about that in previous years, but we're working with environmental health and safety. A steel toe or composite toe boot is ideal, but if you are not able to get those, a really sturdy hiking boot with ankle support or something of that nature is going to be necessary. So leave your flip-flops at home if you're going to come join us for a pump out tour, and anyone who's been on one knows exactly why we are requiring that. And then we'll provide other safety equipment, vests and hard hats.
I think Lock E32 is planned to be in the third year of its 3-year pump out. Is that correct, Ambrose?
Correct. Yep, correct. It's going well. Little high water this past week, but it's going well.
So Rochester friends, you can act locally and think globally and come over to Lock 32, Cal. That would be great. And anyone else in that region, that's a nice lock, right next to a beautiful YMCA too. All right, very good. Any further questions on pump outs or winter maintenance or any of the staffing and HR updates that Ambrose has covered here?
Yes, this is Ken DeRoller, Commissioner DeRoller. The last meeting, I was looking at our notes, October 26, you were 80 to 100 short on seasonal workers. Ambrose, where did you end up in that process?
That's about where we stayed for our, that was for our summer staffing. In the winter, we reduced that quite a bit. We typically hire about 70 to 75 for the winter, but we still fell a bit short. We're probably somewhere around 60 for the winter. So, you know, as we move into the summer season again, we're going to put that large push on for recruitment. And we hope that some of the things we accomplished in the new CSCA contract will help with that effort. You know, some better pay raises and some other things that hopefully will help us attract some talent. So.
Excellent reply. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point, Commissioner. Thank you very much for bringing that up. And it's not too early to think about encouraging our summer seasonals to apply and to think about working at the canal. So, Ambrose, are there any more incentives for people to work as a summer seasonal this year? Are we still where we were last year?
Well, I think the combination of you know, some of the improvements in the contract with the pay rates, and also that we're just adding 35 new positions or maybe more opportunities for folks, you know, in the near future after they've come on. So it's all positives, I think.
Good. Well, let's move on now to a very important component to today. I'm very, very pleased personally and to announce that Governor Hochul in her 2024 State of the State delivered in Albany earlier this month, and in her budget address the following week included 3 major initiatives for canals, one relating to the establishment, the governor's formal establishment of a bicentennial commission. The governor has proposed moving forward with a key component that was included in our upstate flood mitigation task force, was the final report, which was issued in July. And then finally, a very important capital component. I'm going to report on the Bicentennial Commission, and then Rebecca is going to follow up and give you some information on the Flood Mitigation Task Force component and the capital funding. So let's go on, Shane, to the next slide about the Bicentennial Commission. And there's the governor in the chamber. And although that was not included in her spoken speech, it is in the printed speech. And I believe that or the printed book, the State of the State book, I did email to all of our commissioners, our waterways update and a link to the book. It appears on page 102, and there is the call out from the language that is in the book. We are expecting more specific details on who will be a part of the Bicentennial Commission, what its role will be, and when it will start. And of course, it will include, we know that it will include a series of public forums and commemorative events, capital investments, legacy projects, community events, and will all culminate with the 2025 World Canals Conference in Buffalo. And we're also getting ready for the World Canals Conference in Bydgoszcz, Poland, because our responsibility is to present to the world at that conference what New York State has in store for 2025. So the long work that we've been doing in trying to get this effort moving forward has paid off. The governor has been speaking about canals as she travels the state and delivers her regional State of the State address. She will be in Schenectady next week on February 6th. So members of the capital region that might want to come and hear what she has to say, well, we can send you the link to, if you'd like to RSVP for that. You do need to RSVP for it. So Michelle and Steve and Doug, if you'd like to be a part of that, we can send you that, or if you're going to be in the capital region. So looking very much forward to it. Let's go on to the next slide. We have proposed a series of members for the Bicentennial Commission, but it's not official until the governor announces it yet. We have a press release and communications team sitting with the governor's communications office, and when they deem that it's been fully vetted and they want to make that announcement, they can do that. So the the first gentleman and I are proposed to act as co-chairs along with the commissioners and agency heads of Empire State Development, the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and the Secretary of State. So we're hopeful that that comes to pass, and please stay tuned for those announcements, because we have some events that we want to roll out very, very soon, including hopefully an event in the coming weeks to unveil our new Bicentennial license plate, so everyone can get the new license plate on their car and celebrate the Bicentennial. Again, more details coming soon. Next slide, please. This is just a snapshot of some of the actions that we expect will be part of the Bicentennial celebration. Arts and culture, academic forums. We are restarting our SUNY Erie Canal Bicentennial Forum series along with the Department of State and our very good friend and partner, Paul Beyer. Excited to get underway. Angelin Chandler is going to be talking about very, very soon coming up our first Bicentennial Forum, which will be kicking off on Wednesday, April 10th at SUNY Monroe Community College on the Brighton campus. And this is in the Conference Center room, Monroe A and B. And if you are a frequent flyer to the Canal Society Winter Symposium, this is that great room with all of those large screens in it. Perfect opportunity to have our forum. Angelin is going to be talking about that very, very soon. And then we are also looking forward to planning one to go back to SUNY Oswego in September and talk about vibrant waterfronts and the growing list of Canal communities now coming on board with New York Forward and the long-running DRI program, and talking about how communities are really being supercharged along the canal through both DRI and the New York Forward project programs. Legacy projects, the Erie Canal Heritage Corridor. If you were on the Erie Canal Heritage Corridor meeting last week, they are unveiling a bicentennial promotion toolkit, and this is have got all of the components so individual communities along the canal can create and customize their individual bicentennial celebration going into 2025 and even the summer of 2024. This is a 2-year effort. The mandate for the Bicentennial Commission goes through 2024 and 2025. Economic development projects will also be part of it. We have challenged every state agency, particularly the 3 that are part of the proposed Bicentennial Commission leadership, to come up with a significant project to put their thumbprint on the bicentennial. So we're looking forward to that, and we want you to save this date of Wednesday, April 10th for our first in the new series of SUNY Erie Canal Bicentennial Forums. Remember, we did these in between 2017 and 2019. COVID brought an end to that. So we're excited to be going on, and Angela Chandler and her team are actually leading this. So what began as a good idea is going to be even better and stronger under Angeline and her team. So before we switch to Angeline, let me just pause and see if we have any questions or comments on the Bicentennial Commission or plans for the bicentennial celebration. Let me check chat. Don't see anything there. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. And Shane, why don't we go on to the next slide? We'll introduce Angeline, and Angeline can talk about our academic forum series. Angeline is the Vice President for Reimagine the Canals under the New York Power Authority. Angeline.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, as Brian teed up, we are planning a series of forums over the next 2 years that are part of our bicentennial events and activities. These will be future-looking towards a canal that is revitalized for a next century of use. Our first forum is titled Accessible Recreation on the Canalway. As Brian said, we've secured April 10th at Monroe Community College for this forum. And we've also confirmed that Kim Hill, New York State's Chief Disability Officer, will be our keynote speaker. Kim is also helping us to put together a really robust panel of moderators and speakers. And we're still confirming those, so I'm not ready to announce them, but I'm sure at our next meeting, or certainly before April 10th, we will be doing that. CRC members will absolutely be invited to attend all of the forums, the first one and the others that Brian mentioned. And we're also looking to use CRC members for helping us to get the word out about this event. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to field them.
Angeline, would you just update us on the structure of the forum, that it's not only a forum, but it's an expo too. You want to talk a little bit about that?
That's right. We're going to have a series of conversations, keynotes and panels, but we're also going to have a small expo following the speaking where people can look at and test adaptive equipment. So we'll probably have about 5 booths or so, or tables of people bringing adaptive equipment for trial. We think accessibility is the key to getting more people out on the canal, using the canal and the trail. So we're very excited about this panel to increase opportunities for people to enjoy the canal.
Good. That's probably an afternoon program, right? Noon or 1 p.m.
Still confirming the time. We want to certainly have a lot of time for everyone to speak and for there to be a lot of conversation and engagement. It will be followed by the expo and probably an afternoon tea coffee session for networking. So time's TBD.
you don't want to miss this, and we will be sure to keep much more. We're going to be doing a full-fledged, very out front social media campaign, electronic invitations, outreach, and pumping it up beginning very, very soon, so people can get it on their calendars, save it, and then begin to promote and roll out the program to build excitement.
I see that
And
Laura has her hand up.
Laura,
That's a mistake. Apologies.
Oh.
Sorry. Let me see if I can figure out how to unraise it, but sorry about that.
So Director Stratton,
yes.
this is Cal. And I just wanted to chime in and say that I'm really happy that this these forum series are being brought back. I really enjoyed it last time this was presented. I can't remember how long ago it was, a couple years anyway. And they were really useful. I learned a lot of stuff about what was going on, topic by topic. So I'm very pleased that you're bringing these back and putting it under the bicentennial banner. I think that's great.
We're very, very excited, and I was delighted when Angelin came to me and said she wanted to restart them. So I know Angelin has got a great team, and I know they're going to be wonderful. We're looking forward to doing more beyond the two that I have talked to you about. We really want to go back to the university at Buffalo, because we are doing a lot of work with them on our Reimagine the Canals project in Medina. We have a great partnership going on with them. We were out in Buffalo last week. Rebecca and I were, along with Nick Melson, to talk with the chairman and the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation about the work that we are doing, and they are a partner in that project. So I'm trying to convince Angelin that we'll have enough energy to squeeze in a third forum in 2024 at the University at Buffalo, but more on that. Let's get these first two done, certainly the first one. Paul Byer is a major advocate for these, and Paul's going to make sure that we go back and we revisit all of the developments in the New York State brewing industry, and go back to talk about the history of beer on the canal, which is something we can't ignore as we get into the bicentennial. Thank you. For any other comments for Angelin? Questions for Angelin? Okay. My agenda now says we are moving into the other business general discussion items for the agenda. And this is the opportunity for our commissioners to bring forward any other items, general discussion, follow-up items. Trustee Gonzalez, this includes you also, that we may want to consider or have considered for future meetings. Please raise your hand or speak.
Hey, Brian, could I jump in quickly? It's Rebecca.
Go ahead.
I just had one more update related to the governor's executive budget. So I just wanted to make note, actually I have two things. In the state of the state, in addition to establishing the Bicentennial Commission, Governor Hochul also responded to the great work of the Upstate Flood Mitigation Task Force, calling for the completion of numerical modeling of two key watersheds, the Oswego River Basin and the Mohawk River Basin. This is very responsive of her to the recommendations set forth by the commission, and we expect that those modeling activities will be funded in the executive budget. So this is a huge step forward for us. And then a note from the executive budget is that for the first time, a line has been established for canal capital funding. So this year, the governor included $50 million for canal capital. And I'll read you a quick quote from a speech that she made last week, addressing her budget priorities specific to Western New York. She said, "The canals were an important part of our history, transforming 200 years ago Buffalo from a sleepy little village to a bustling commerce center because of the Erie Canal." And it's got a great story behind it. As we approach this anniversary, I want to make sure that those communities along it are kept vibrant and ensure that these canals are strong and not in disrepair, that they're maintained for the next 200 years. So we're committing $50 million to the locks and the dams and to mitigate flooding and improve resilience there. Because if we don't invest now, this jewel, this part of our identity, will be gone forever. So I don't think you could have a more stark message than that. She's just said it better than any of us could. This is funding specific to canal infrastructure, taking steps from what Ambrose is leading on routine operations and maintenance to make those deeper repairs that are needed in order to keep the system operating for its next century. So with that, I'll turn it over to B. I see you've got your hand up.
Go ahead, Trustee Gonzalez.
I just wanted to remind everyone that the Syracuse Erie Canal Museum Artists Roundtable is a worthwhile listen. I know I participated in the first lecture, and I got a peek at the work that our artists and residents did. And I was really fascinated by the way he took the voices of our canal employees and kind of brought them to life through his project. And I got a peek at the next two coming up, and I'm really excited about what is coming. Lots of opportunity, I think, there to include that work in the bicentennial celebration. And I was just really pleased. It was a great hour and a half or so of my time, and well spent. The other is, Ambrose, I heard a little more hope in your voice in your report around hiring, and I was really glad to hear that. And finally, I want to say that I never thought that the cleanup at the Inner Harbor would generate so much interest, but it was on the news multiple days in a row. So while the Syracuse Canal community is kind of quiet, I think it's starting to wake up, and I'm really excited about that. So that's all. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Trustee. That was a great program put on by the Erie Canal Museum, the artists and residents. I wonder if Angela and/or Commissioner Stetson would like to follow up on that with any comments.
We're very excited about the 3 new artists that we have chosen for 2024. Last year, we had one artist, B was referring to, Matthew Lopez Jensen. His focus was on maintenance and what it takes to keep the canal in a good state of repair. He visited every lock in the system, and he did a project called Work in the Water, where he sent cards to all of our waterway maintenance staff asking for their words about what they're thinking about as they do their winter maintenance. And he's compiled the responses he received into a book, also with images of trees on the canal and other images of the canal and our facilities. And he's looking for a publisher for that book right now. And we have 3 photographers for this coming year. We felt that photography was the best way, as this residency is in its infancy, to get word out about the canal to people who might not be aware that it even exists. So we have 3 who are very different. One is looking at what he calls rephotography, where he's finding historic images of the canal, and then he will go and rephotograph the same spot today and compare the 2. There's another photographer who is looking at religion and the canal corridor. Some of you may be aware it was called the Burned Over District. She is looking at that corridor historically, but also looking for traces of that still exists today. And then finally, our third photographer is going to be taking photographs of women who are associated, or actually whose business is associated with the canal. So that could be our canal staff, could be tour boat and cruise operators, marina owners, and other women who have businesses and employment associated with the canal. And she's going to be taking an historic type of image, a tintype of these women. We're hoping that B will also be a subject. And Cal as well. And any other CRC female member who would like to be a subject.
It should be an open invitation. B, do you still have your hand up, or is that just left over? You're on mute, but I think it's just
You're out. Yeah, I'm trying to get there so I can take it down.
Thank you, Angela. Natalie, did you have anything to add to that dialogue?
I think the only thing I would add is that the museum is working with the 2023 Artist in Residence right now to put in a small exhibit that the framing should be done probably next week, and the exhibit will hopefully be ready to go by mid-February. We gotta, some of it's, once it's all here, we've got to see how it will actually all fit in the space and such. But so we'll have a work in the water exhibit up in the museum that will actually be up probably through the summer. So hopefully you'll all be able to get a chance to come see it.
Excellent. Good. We'll look forward to that. Maybe get out there too. I want to go back to Rebecca's report on our capital program and certainly acknowledge her outstanding work in securing that funding. So much of the work that we do goes on as what you don't see, but Rebecca has been laser focused, is the best word to use, on fighting to secure that funding. That's a really big deal, but as we all know, keeping our system running is an expensive proposition, and that money is really programmed for existing needs as much as we would like to generate new ideas and new opportunities. Those are going to be very important improvements, as the governor has said, to keep our canal sustained for the next 100 and 200 years. And hopefully that's the first installment of more capital funding that will need to be invested. So thank you, Rebecca, for your outstanding work, and we'll keep you posted on how we go forward and what the governor says. It would be worthwhile sharing those comments that she made in Western New York last week that Rebecca read to you. So we'll plug that in. We're still in our other business general discussion items. So any commissioner that has a other business general discussion that would also like to add, please chime in.
This is Commissioner Droller. Is there any update on the pedestrian bridge project in Brockport? Is anybody on that's got update on that?
It's moving forward, but I'll defer to Angelin and to Paul. Angelin, what would you like to inform Commissioner Droller about next steps there?
Yeah, Paul, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here. Next steps. Okay, right now they're really into shop drawings and steel fabrication through the winter months. They'll start to roll out into April with more on-site work, and we're still on schedule to be completed by the end of this year. Fingers crossed. That's what's going on with Brockport.
Excellent, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Commissioner, we very much want to have a steel signing public ceremony. We're looking forward to perhaps April or May to get something together for that, and maybe bring that under also the banner of the Bicentennial Commission, since our Reimagine the Canals and investments are really part of that legacy projects. But it was a great project, great briefing we had on that we also provided to the Wilson Foundation, and they are a partner with us in that project. So please stay tuned for more details coming forward on that, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to update you on it. Any other general discussion, other business? If not, we're going to move on to the public comment. This is the opportunity for members of the public who might be joining to introduce themselves and to make us aware of any concerns or comments that you might have. Are there members of the public who would like to chime in? Well, I guess we don't have other members. We normally do in person. I'm sure we'll have them come back again. Kim Orapello is not with us. I don't know that we have an established hold the date for our next meeting. Rebecca, are you aware if we have a date for the next meeting?
Hey, Brian, I'll get with Kim. I think we're going to get back on track and follow the schedule, the same cadence that we used last year and the year before. So I'll get with Kim and we'll get those next few dates out.
And we want to block out the rest of the year. So we do our spring, our summer, our fall meeting. So you have those locked in on your calendar, ready to go. I'm not sure if it's feasible or doable to butt this up with our Bicentennial Forum, which will be in Rochester on the 10th. But if we can squeeze it in around that time, it should be in that time. But we'll work whatever works best best for everyone without sacrificing one or the other. So please stay tuned for the next meeting. Okay, we're winding down to adjournment. Are there any other comments, questions for good and the welfare?
I'm very pleased with this meeting. There's a lot of good positive information. Thanks to all the hard work of your staff.
Thank you very much, Ken. We really appreciate it. We had started warming up by hoping that Commissioner Iacetta was going to serenade us on his fiddle, but it doesn't activate the microphone on your laptop the way that your voice does. We could see you playing, but we could not hear the wonderful music. So you want to try to do that again to close us out, a couple of bars, and then we'll take the motion to adjourn. Commissioner Steve Iacetta from the Shaker Fiddle Company along the Erie Canal. Hit it. We don't hear a thing. It looks lovely, and I'm sure it sounds lovely. You're on mute, Steve. That's why we don't hear you. Try it again.
There we go. Okay. Greetings. By the way, my only point, I might ask for a very high altitude overview of the power component. We focus well on all our navigation, commerce, recreation, Empire Trail, all those important economic aspects. Power is most important as well. If we can keep a power component in the 2050 plan concept, just very high altitude. We generate what, 40%? The canal locks and dams allow our state power in a big way, right, Director? As a comment.
We're going to get you to record that and actually play it for us next time, Steve, because it's not doing to the work of your finger.
Honor and privilege to play for you anytime. Thank you.
Ask Steve to play the theme from Ken Burns' Civil War series, Show Farewell, which is one of the most beautiful, haunting melodies on the instrument. So put that on tape, and we will listen to it next time.
Thank you, Director. Thank you so much.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Iacetta, second by
I'll second it.
Cal Wysakowski. All those in favor of adjourning say aye.
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 Opposed say no. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. We'll be in touch very, very soon with our next meeting. Again, thank you all for joining us.